G'day guys, we are here with the Canon Alpha Hybrid. This is Australia's first hybrid ute. Now it's powered by a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine with a hybrid drivetrain assisting it and working alongside it in combination. It's not a mild hybrid like the Toyota Hilux, for example, and it's not a plug-in hybrid like the upcoming Ford Ranger hybrid. This is a true hybrid in the sense that you just get in it and it will work out what times you need the electric engine to kick in and help drive the electric motors with the petrol turbocharged engine. The great part about that is it means it gives you some pretty seamless and smooth acceleration and also a nice get up and go type instant torque reaction when you're on the highway or when you're going up a hill or a mountain, as well as it balances out some of the overall drive characteristics that you would normally experience when there's a little bit of lag in a turbocharged vehicle, or even just the lag that you get from a standard petrol or diesel car as you drive. Now, this car actually has a lot to love about it. Like, I've just enjoyed the drive up here today. We're in the beautiful Mount Tamborine or Tamborine Mountain region of Southeast Queensland, because we thought we'd put it to the test going up and down a mountain to see if it would struggle. The other part to it as well is we have plans to do a review where we take it and do a tow test. So stay tuned for a separate video that will be a towing specific test where we're going to try to tow it about 2.5 to 3 ton to see just how it goes as a tow vehicle as well. Now, we normally would turn the car off unless it's an electric while we're doing a review, but because it's a hybrid and it's actually quite a quiet hybrid, it can stay on, which means I can show you things straight away, such as the LED daytime running lights and LED headlights. This nice little LED Poer indentation there. Poer is what it's known as in other markets. In Australia, it's rebranded to a Canon Alpha Ute, probably because it's too close to the word poor. I don't know, maybe that's a justification. Down here, you get LED fog lights as well, which is a nice touch, plus front parking sensors and a 360-degree camera system, which gives you really good visibility on and off-road, parking around, tight car park spaces, or trying to go over certain obstacles off-road. You will have a very clear and defined visibility of the front, the sides, and the back, making this incredibly easy to use on and off-road. And wait till you check out the screen on the inside, which shows you just how clear that actual camera is, but also how much visibility you get from the massive screen that's inside. Aside from that, engine, let's have a look. Now, this car is powered by a 2-litre turbo petrol hybrid engine. It's good for 255 kilowatts worth of power and 648 Newton meters worth of torque. If you're wondering why there's so much space around the engine in this engine bay, that's because this car also comes in a turbo diesel configuration, and in other overseas markets, you also have the option of slightly bigger engines. So the car that we're reviewing today, however, is the turbo petrol hybrid, and we'll share what we think about this car, and then we'll try to get our hands on a turbo diesel to give you a bit of insight into that car as well. Now, outside of that, the grille at the front is massive and is pretty menacing. It has the Poer emblem and symbol that we've seen on other Canon models, including the standard size Canon. This car here is a little bit bigger, so it's bigger than a Canon and smaller than an F-150. So it kind of is a bit of an in-between ute. And if you're American, you'd probably still call it a truck. And I'm sure there's someone here in Australia that will call it a truck just because they want to call it a truck. However, one of the things that is actually quite nice in the top model, which is what we're reviewing here, is this amount of chrome. It does give it a bit more presence, and in the black, it definitely gives it quite a nice bit of appeal. So that's what you get there, but let's have a look at some of the other features you get around the car. Now, the Canon Alpha Ultra comes in 18-inch tire and wheel combination, and they're wrapped in a brand that you may not be familiar with, and that brand is Giddy. And it doesn't mean giddy up, we're going on an adventure. It's just a no-name, cheap tire brand. And in other cars, I'd probably be a little bit critical of it, but having been a four-wheel drive ute owner and a four-wheel drive SUV owner for many, many years, I have my own tire preference. So even though I was buying certain brands and they came with reputable high-end tires on them as standard. I had a preference for a more aggressive all-terrain tire. For me, it was the choice between a Yokohama GO15 or a Yokohama GO16, also known as an XAT. For others, they might prefer a Falcon Wild Peak. So between those tire choices, someone is going to have their flavor that they want to wrap their rims with, and they probably might even want to change the rims. So for a four-wheel drive, I don't think it's a bad thing that it's come with lesser known highway terrain tires, because you're going to spend a lot of money on getting the right tires and rubber combination on there anyway. So you might as well have it be your choice instead of whatever the manufacturer gives you. Moving to the side as well, you get some nice flaring here around the arches, which pump it up and make it a little bit wider. That there is a arch that is separate to the metal bodywork, so it's not metal. You then get your side steps down the bottom here, more of that Poer emblem and logo down there. And these are actually quite usable as well. Like they're well spaced. They give you easy access to the roof rails that you get on the Ultra spec, making it super easy to get in and out. Let's move to the back, because the back is where I'm actually quite impressed with some of the features that you've seen in some more expensive utes. So moving to the side, you have a bit more of this black matte plastic. This one here also has Poer written on it, which is typical of the Chinese market where this car is sold. If you've seen some of the owners of the previous smaller Canon, which is still available, you'll see that quite often they actually put some aftermarket black plastic surrounds on their tail lights, and quite often have Poer on it. So with the Canon Alpha, you get it as standard. You get some nicely designed rear tail lights, all integrated for the indicators and reverse lights into there as well. Down the bottom, you get a separate bumper piece, which is your rear parking sensors, and a nice step with some lighting as well to make it nice and easy. And the tailgate is the impressive part. So if you want to just drop the tailgate down, you can drop it down, and it is also dampened, so it's going to be nice and easy if maybe you've got someone that you're sharing the car with that maybe isn't as strong as you, or if you've got a child in your hand and you're trying to do things one-handed, this could be perfect for you. It's lined, so you're not going to be scratching the metal. So it's got a spray-in liner that's standard, but then it also has this plastic liner just up here. And once this is up, which you can actually do with one hand because it's dampened and it becomes really light going up and down, you can also open it a different way. So you can actually have a barn door type functionality to it, which allows you to open this way and that way. Meaning if you're in a car park, or perhaps maybe you've got your caravan attached behind and you just need to grab stuff out, but you don't want to be dropping down the tailgate and then having to work out how to get into it, this is actually really usable and really user-friendly. To then step into the back as well, to maybe load and unload whatever you need, it's also going to be really, really easy to step in and out. So great job by Canon there, or by GWM, I should say. Outside of that, you do have 4 tie-down points on the edges of the actual tub on the inside, which makes it super easy. And if you just focus directly at the center of that window, I'll show you one other feature that you may not know. It also has a sliding window in the back. So if you've got your doggo in the back coming along with adventures and you want to throw out some snacks, or you want to reach into the back and grab something, you've got this window to allow a little bit of ventilation. Also just allows the cabin to breathe a little bit. So if you've just parked up for the day and you want to let the car air out, it's also going to be able to do that nice and easily. So enough about the back. Let's have a look at the back seats, because I think you're going to like a few other things in the back here as well. Now, stepping into the back of what is essentially a ute. And not too long ago, utes weren't all that comfortable and they weren't all that plush. With the Canon and the Canon Alpha, you get this nice premium material at the top here, which makes it soft touch and just makes it feel a little bit premium. Soft touch material here. It's got this wood veneer look, imitation wood, just through here that surrounds the window switch. You get some nice highlights here, some more highlights over here that then go across onto the audio. And you have some nice lined door pockets as well. So whatever you're putting into the back here isn't going to rattle around as much. And it also helps absorb some of the noise from the outside, meaning that this car is actually quite quiet when you go on longer drives, and regardless of the road that you're on, It's surprisingly quiet for such a big cabin and for what is essentially a work ute. Let's have a look on the inside. Now, space is not a premium in the back of this car. You are going to have so much space. You have a little coat hanger here, and you also have your little individual lights, some grab handles on there and over here. You have your airbags that go the whole way around you, making sure that you're nicely catered for in the event of an emergency. And the seat reclines, meaning you can find your perfect position for those longer road trips. And if you need to recline it more, it's basically as far as it goes. So you could recline in comfort, drop that armrest, and just enjoy a nice journey and not actually be all that uncomfortable. The other part to this seat as well is the outer two seats on the back seat are heated and ventilated. So your controls are just down here, and it will allow you to warm your seat or cool your seat depending on whether it's summer or winter. How good is that? One of the nifty little features on this car, which is easy to gloss over, and to be honest, I didn't expect it from the guys at GWM, is this storage compartment here. So as you can see, it's got some Velcro tie-down straps that help keep whatever you need in there. Now, what you could actually keep in here is things like emergency flares or potentially even just a torch, and slide that drawer down and then you close the door over it. So how cool is that? A little bit of added storage, or keep some snacks in there. Now, one of the cool things that you will have as a parent, but also in the car in general, is you can see that this little red strip here is actually the ambient lighting, and that changes a number of different colors. But when you open the door, just to provide any kind of protection in case there's something that's sensed in the blind spot, it will actually flash red to let you know that you need to watch out for an obstacle, and the car will give you a notification. That can be super handy when you have young kids that are opening doors and they're maybe a little bit less thoughtful as to what's around them. The other thing that you'll like as a parent is that this seat, as well as reclining forward and being able to find a really good comfortable position for the seat if you have a child seat in the back, is that you have a nice premium leather interior. You have ISOFIX points down the bottom on the outer two seats, and you have two top tethers directly behind these two seats. So you can either drop this the whole way down and access that top tether, or load something bigger and bulkier on top. Or you can lift that up and you can recline this to just be super comfortable. The center does drop down. It will reveal a little charging pad. It also reveals a nice little storage area. So this is a QI charging pad for wireless charging on your device. Cup holders down here to make sure that no one spills anything. And if you need to get this whole section down, you can. You just pull that down there and this drops down here. This would probably give you a slightly nicer, deeper armrest if you're a little bit lower. But to be honest, I quite like this armrest because it comes with cup holders and the wireless charging pad, making charging your devices on the go in the back seat an absolute breeze. Down here though, do have additional charging ports that are USB-C. So down here, you'll just be able to plug in directly into whichever one you need, and that gives you greater functionality. Air conditioning vents directly behind here give you nice airflow into the back, either warmth in winter or cool air in summer. And if you need a little bit of additional room behind the passenger seat, you can actually adjust that from the back seat. So you can get as much room for your legs or for a child seat directly from the back here, or you can just mess around with the person in front of you if you don't like them on longer road trips. Let's have a look at the front, where this car comes to life with the abundance of technology that comes with it. Now, moving to the front, we have soft touch materials all throughout the door here. You've got that more of that premium highlight, plus some piano black gloss material in here. I'm not a fan of piano black, and I will tell it in every single review that I can, because I think manufacturers just use other materials and it just doesn't look nice, because over time it scratches really easily and it gets tons of fingerprints. But what I do like is down here, again, they've got that ambient light warning you that that door's open and that there's potential obstacles in the blind spot that you need to watch out for. So something else that I really like with a lot of the modern cars, and particularly led out of the Chinese cars, is actually that additional safety there, where it will give you a bit of warning and also flash at you as you open the door to let you know that something's in its way. More soft touch materials here and more highlights, and again with a felt lined inner section of this lower storage. It is big enough for a bottle and also for other little snacks or whatever else you need to hold in there, and your wallet. Power windows and power mirrors all throughout here, and you also have the lockout button for that rear central power window on the actual rear glass. So if you've got kids in the back and you don't want them playing around with that and opening that by mistake, you can just lock it there to stop them from doing it. Now, moving to the inside. This is every bit premium and every bit fancy for what is a ute. Look, I spent more than this on the ute that I previously owned, and it didn't give me anywhere near the level of features or comfort. And to see where we're at now with utes is absolutely mind-blowing. Down here you have more of that wood grain look material. I would have actually preferred them to use something more like a black carbon fiber or black wood-like trim. I think that would have actually added and leveled up the interior versus this kind of cheaper looking imitation wood grain. However, the way that they've done it is actually quite nice, and there's no squeaks or rattles or anything like that with the interior, which is really, really nice for a price point car. Headlight adjustment, you have that all through here, so if you do have additional load in the back, you can angle those headlights down, and a couple of other features here, including downhill assist control on the right hand side. Now, it can be a little bit tricky for the bonnet if you are looking for the bonnet opening latch. It's actually down here and it's not really well marked, so you may miss it, but it's definitely just there. And outside of that, the ambient lighting continues the whole way across the interior of the car, and even on the screen that's to the panel that's to the left of this big color screen. Over here, you have the current nightmare of most people buying a new car, and that's the driver attention warning monitor. And I think it's quite a shame because it ruins a lot of nice modern cars. And look, for me, the sequence getting into any car that has it is going straight to this infotainment area and immediately turning it off. And it's not because I don't want the safety of being warned if I'm falling asleep or if I'm kind of veering out of the lane. It's more that it's just getting a little bit annoying because it becomes a little bit overzealous. The great part though is the lane departure alert programming in this car seems to be pretty good. So we drove this the whole way from Brisbane up Mount Tambourine, through windy roads, crossing over the lane or getting close to it at some points, getting very close to some oncoming traffic in the other direction that in previous iterations of other like safety systems within GWM and some other brands, they've kind of jerked the steering wheel and kind of almost made it almost dangerous to kind of avoid the other car. And this one here doesn't actually have that. There is a mode that's been hidden in this though, which it's traffic avoidance and kind of maneuvering. So what that means is, let's say for example, we're both traveling in this direction or you got something coming the other way and the other car is a bit wider. This will force the car to move over to avoid any kind of conflict or danger with that car or that obstacle. And potentially that there, which is a feature I've not seen before, could be what has made it a little bit of a much nicer experience while still retaining the emergency lane keeping assist that this car has. Now, enough with me yabbering on, let's have a look at what tech you get. So, digital display in front of the driver, which gives you all of the information you need to know in a very clear and easy to read screen. You have a heads-up display unit directly in front as well. Now that there actually works quite well with quite a lot of the polarized equipment and glasses that I've been testing with. So I'm actually quite impressed with that because normally we have quite a bit of issue trying to show that if we have any polarized sunglasses or lens filters. The steering wheel itself is height and reach adjustable, meaning you will find the perfect place for this steering wheel and for you to be comfortable in the car. So that's actually really, really nice. And other than that, you've got quite a premium and spacious feeling interior. But again, pointing out that this would have just felt a little bit more premium if that was blackened out and maybe a fake kind of carbon or black wood grain type look material as an inset there. As you can see, there's a massive digital display and a lot going on for the central infotainment and comfort features. So come around, let's have a look at what you get in the middle. Now, up on here, you'll have this ambient light inlay, and that's actually the front end of the car. That's the design that's there. That does change colors when you're getting in and out of the car or turning the car on, and it also is programmable. So if you want to have one single color going the whole time for your ambient lighting, you can play around with all of that there, which is really nice. This screen, as I mentioned, is big, it's digital, and it has absolutely everything that you need here to function with whatever you're trying to use. And it's actually really responsive as well and very clear, which I absolutely love. So you're going to absolutely love having that inside the car because you have your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, all through there. And the Apple CarPlay, very, very seamless to use. I have a wired connection for it. Makes my life a lot easier jumping in and out of a lot of cars rather than wireless. So make sure you play around with that. Down here, we've got a sliding tray, and this here is a wireless charging pad. So if you've watched my review on the Tank 500, you'll know that this is a very similar interior and design, but that there makes it super easy to charge. Plus there's a little section here that you can open up so that you can feed the cord that is sitting underneath to feed up through here so that you can integrate your charging or resting area for your phone. Ventilated and heated seats are standard, and these very comfortable and premium feeling leather seats are absolutely divine for day-to-day driving and day-to-day comfort. Moving to the center console, you get a very padded and very comfortable center armrest. Now this is fixed, so there's no movement of this moving forwards and backwards, so it is in that position, but I found resting my arm while driving actually pretty comfortable with how it's been designed. Moving this open here, you have a little bit of card storage and some pen holders underneath there. Little storage tray that comes out. And the best part is under here, you actually have a vent that opens and closes. So if you want to keep some drinks, maybe some chocolates or snacks cool and with a constant airflow going through them, you can actually have that down here. So it's not quite a fridge, it's just a ventilated compartment, similar to the Hilux that has a ventilated compartment on the dash. So that's actually really handy as well. Once this goes back in here, you have two big cup holders down here, and they are quite deep. The one thing I will comment is if you're putting a large Coke, for example, the cup holder is quite deep, so you will probably knock it on this part of that center armrest. So just make sure that you test out the cups that you're going to use, because I think you might knock a lid or two off that. That's the only design flaw that I can think of for that particular area there. Your drive modes and 4x4 modes are all through here, as well as your low, your diff locks and everything else all through here. Now, we aren't doing a off-road review. There's plenty of channels that do very, very comprehensive and exceptionally well planned off-road adventures and off-road reviews. So I'll leave that to the experts for that side. However, we will do the rest of the car. A couple of blank switches here, which I think could be cool to put lights, anything else that you need to do all through here. The front and rear diff locks are activated through here as well, so that's important there that you do have dual locks as well. And you also have an auto hold, so if you come to a set of lights and you pull up and you take your foot off the brake, once you've come to a full stop, this will allow you to take your foot off the brake while still keeping the car from rolling, so that's really handy. Electronic park brake is just here, and you have this massive shifter through here. It tilts forwards and back, and that's how you adjust it. And you just need to press the side little section just there to unlock the movement on that, so you're not going to accidentally knock it out of place. And the cameras, my goodness, the camera system is fantastic. I'll get my videographer to jump in the car so that way we can close the door and I can show you a 360 image of the car. So as you can see with the camera system, it's exceptionally clear. And because it's a massive screen, it makes it very, very easy to know where you're navigating and where you're going. Right there, that's 0.5 meter from the back of the car, which allows you to have plenty of space with whatever you're trying to line up behind. And it even shows you where you need to be mindful for things like swinging the tailgate open or even just dropping that tailgate as well. So a really nice design there. You can switch the view to 360-degree imaging as well. So if you don't want the 360-degree, you can just go and jump at each of these different cameras through a number of different positions and just check that you've parked nice and neatly or that you're just out of the way. And I think that's actually a really cool feature as well. You can do chassis clear as well, which just gives you a bit of an idea of what's around you and removes the obstruction of the physical car, just to show you exactly where you need to be. And once that's out of the way, you can return back to that normal reverse screen. That reverse screen also shows you the moving guidelines, which makes it super easy to move around. And as you can see there, until the bush or tree that we have, it's about 100 centimeters or 1 meter from that red line. Now the car also does come with a intelligent parking assistant or reverse tracking. And there's a couple of functions in there that just allow you to put it into reverse. So you just press the button and it will bring it into reverse. Now, as you saw from that demonstration, it sometimes is a little bit not super smooth in applying the brake, or being a little bit too slow on the uptake and then accelerating a little bit too fast as it reverses into the base. So I think a couple of calibration changes are probably expected over time with it. And you know, I think it will do it flawlessly. So a really good job for what it is so far. And for such a big car, it's better to have a little bit of a parking aid if you are a little bit less confident in bigger cars and maybe you're borrowing the car from the person that drives it full time. Now, before we get out of the car, I want to also show you that you have this massive panoramic roof, but also an opening sunroof. So this opens up nice and clearly and gives you a little bit of cabin air, or to launch a drone if you're feeling adventurous. This drops down and then just gives you a big open glass roof to just make the cabin feel that little bit bigger. You can close this as well, so that will just cover that up. So in summer you will, you know, have a little bit of protection from the sun, but for most of the other times you can just have this completely open and have a bit of space there to enjoy the light, enjoy the scenery if you're waiting to pick someone up, and lastly, you also have a little storage nook there for sunglasses or things like that as well. That's the center there. You do have a vanity mirror on both sides here as well, which some leading brands don't actually have a vanity mirror for the driver, and it's also illuminated. So nice little plus on the points for that there, and a little ticket holder that goes into here as well. So you slide your parking tickets into there and it keeps them nice and safe and nice and tracked. Now, let's see what I think of the car. Now, one of the things I really like about the Canon Alpha is that it drives really nice. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's not overly noisy, it's not rattly. It's actually a nice car. And as much as people will fill these comments with, or the comment section with, it's Chinesium, it's made in China, China sucks, Communist Party of China, and all sorts of China, we're still getting a good car for a good price. And for a lot of Australians at the moment that are doing it tough and, you know, may not have the surplus of funds that they would normally have, it's actually a pretty good offering for those Aussies. Obviously, not every Aussie that is doing it tough can afford a new car. There's different levels of tough, as I've learnt while doing reviews. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that whether you're a business that needs to reduce the cost of some of the cars that you're buying, or whether you're a private individual that wants a nice or new car and needs maybe a little bit of safety for your family, but you don't want to spend an arm and a leg for it, this is a really good offering. In terms of comfort, it's exceptionally comfortable on city roads. It's nice on these regional rural roads here in Tamborine Mountain or Mount Tamborine. After 7 to 8 years of living in Queensland, I still don't actually know whether it's Mount Tamborine or Tamborine Mountain. So let me know in the comment section which of the two you think it actually is, and I'll learn. Is more the reality. I quite like that this car has a really nice seating position. After driving the Nissan Patrol for the past week, it's actually been a nice car to get in, because the Nissan Patrol has an atrocious seat. The seat is flat, and weirdly enough, It's supported in the middle, it goes up, but it kind of almost dips on the sides. So you end up with this really weird kind of scenario where the seat's just not comfortable. So getting in this and having a really nice seat has been very, very refreshing. Now, the lane departure alert system isn't overzealous. It doesn't slam you back into the lane. It gives you a nice smooth response, which is really, really nice. And after having other GWM products that used to aggressively push you back into the lane, I feel like they've done the updates that they needed and made the changes to make sure that you got a really good driving experience. The fact that this car, downhill or uphill, is doing an exceptional job at really good performance and really good acceleration, but also very minimal body roll in those turns, is a pretty big testament to how far GWM has come since the early days of the utes that they used to bring to Australia. The interior feels every bit premium, and actually feels a lot more premium than any of the current four-wheel drive utes available on offer from the mainstream brands. So I can see why a lot of owners have gone for previous models of the Canon prior to this hybrid model. And look, while it's not overly powerful compared to a V6 or a 6-cylinder diesel, it keeps up with 4-cylinder diesel engines, and that comes from someone that previously owned a turbo diesel Hilux. I wouldn't see this as being any less powerful or any less capable of keeping up with that car from an acceleration or driving a driving point of view. The one thing I will say is it's a lot more comfortable, and it's less bouncy, and it just handles on the road a little bit better. So going down these windy roads and going up the windy roads, it's done a really, really nice job at balancing itself out. So that's another big plus for this particular brand and for this particular car. The Tank 500, I really enjoyed my time in that car, and I think the Canon Alpha is going to be much the same. Now, the one bugbear that I do have with the Canon Alpha is actually with the drivetrain. So when it was announced that it was a hybrid system that we would be getting back in, I think April, when I was at the Bangkok Automotive Show, they had the first release of it and the unveiling, and then the announcement that it was going to come to Australia. I got quite excited because I went, that's going to be fantastic fuel economy and is going to be exceptional power for acceleration from that instant torque. Now, it's fulfilled one of those things, but fuel economy, I'm not really sure what to think of it or what to say about it. I'm averaging around 12 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, my Hilux, fully loaded with a rooftop tent, a ton of weight from a bar, from upgraded, suspension, from different tyres, from different equipment on the back, that car there was giving me 13 to 13.5 litres per 100. The diesel version of this car here in Australia is a better fuel consumption rating than the Canon Alpha in the hybrid, I should say. So again, I just don't quite understand the overall benefit for this particular hybrid system in the traditional way that you would have better fuel consumption. What I do appreciate about this hybrid system is that it is a lot more responsive, it's smoother, it's quieter, and in every way it makes the experience of owning a ute far better. So if you are going to consider a hybrid in the Canon Alpha range, consider it from a comfort and safety and drivability or ownership experience side of things, rather than from purely a fuel consumption point, because I don't think it actually wins from a fuel consumption perspective. But that being said, to have a quiet, smooth, comfortable car that I can be having this conversation while going on some mountain roads and some windy tracks, and we're able to do all of that without using our mics because we forgot to get the right mics for this camera, that's actually pretty impressive. So I think a lot of people are going to have a lot to love about this car, and a lot of people are going to have a lot to say about the ownership experience of this car. And When I first reviewed the GWM Canon Alpha Ute back in 2021, a lot of people commented on my channel that it was a horrible car, it wouldn't last, it was going to be absolute crap. And guess what? A lot of those people have been proven wrong by the people that own the cars, that comment on any Canon review that I've done in the last 2 to 3 years, that all share really positive insights about their ownership experience with the Canon. And I don't think that the Canon Alpha is going to be any different as an ownership experience than those Canon owners. So I think a lot to come and a lot to love about the Canon range and the Canon Alpha range in general for potential buyers. So let me know in the comment section. Take one for a drive. Did you enjoy the drive? Did you prefer the hybrid? And are you going to go for a hybrid, or are you going to go for a diesel? And why? What is your choice between the two, as to the choice that you've made? I will do a towing test, as I mentioned, where we take this car and we actually put it through its paces to get it to tow and to see how much it will pull. Unfortunately, we just didn't have a car that had a tow bar as part of this particular test, so we weren't able to do it.